Welcome to Dental All Stars. I'm Alex Nottingham, founder and CEO of All Star Dental Academy. And with us is Robyn Reis, the director of the hiring service at All Star Dental Academy. Welcome, Robyn.
Thank you.
And
Glad to be here.
Yes, and we're talking about debunking team myths. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So, what are the myths? What's
In
going
all
on
of our
here?
conversations with clients, right? There are many stories we tell ourselves in the dental world, and we look at practices that have long-standing team members, and we think, oh, they must be great dentists because they have long-standing team members. That's one myth that we tell ourselves. That's one story. Another story is that we tell ourselves if they have great attitude and great personality, we can teach them the dentistry. We can teach them any of the necessary tasks. It's another myth we tell ourselves. And then the third one is that expectations from the doctors and team members will remain consistent, which of course would lead to high performing team members, right? That's another myth that we tell ourselves because the reality is completely different.
Ooh.
And if we go back to that first myth of,
Okay.
Great dentists have high performing and long-standing teams, there is some truth to that. But the reality is it doesn't, even average dentists have great team or long-standing team members. Dentists, just like people on social media, tend to put their best foot forward and they don't want to share where things might not be going well. I've experienced that personally and professionally, where everything's great. And then, oh my gosh, Dr. So and so just closed his doors. The reality being that dentists who are really good at understanding their team, their personalities, their skill sets are going to have those loyal team members. It doesn't make them a great dentist. It doesn't make the team, a terrible team if the great dentist can't keep team members. Today's reality is team members are not going to have that 30-year loyalty to collect the Rolex watch. Team members nowadays, the thought process is if you're not increasing responsibility, if you're not moving to other dental practices to learn and grow your skill set, then you're behind the times. And
Interesting.
that's not how a lot of people think in the dental industry. They're looking for those long term, loyal team members. Yes, that's still true what we're looking for. And a lot of resumes, a lot of, the younger generations are taught, and their belief system is that I have to be always learning and always growing. So I want to look for places that allow me to do that. So that's really the lesson of this myth, is making opportunities for growth a part of your culture.
Okay, let me unpack this a little bit. First, I want to just note, because you're talking about where dentists, you're right, they put their best foot forward. They don't share. My dad, many of you know, is a dentist, and he would hate to go to study clubs because it's all BS. It's bragging on maybe something that's not really there, and nobody shares what they want to learn because you don't want to compete. One thing, because it's fresh in our mind, we just came back from our mastermind retreat, mastermind intensive, whatever you want to call it. And I like retreat though. Anyways, I'll make a note of that. But we were there and we all share the good, the bad, and the ugly because there's no competition in the areas. And so I think that's helpful to see reality and then be able to work on it. Now let's and for those who want to learn more about Mastermind, you can go to our website, allstardentalacademy.com, and learn more about Mastermind, where that's located in the drop-down box. Okay. Now let's unpack this a little bit. So you're saying the myth is what? The myth here is what?
Is
The
great
first myth.
dentists have long-standing team.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it could be long. It could be. So you're saying even the great dentists have a long-standing team, and you're saying not necessarily.
Not necessarily, and I can tell you it certainly doesn't happen by accident.
This is
Just
true.
because they're a great dentist, right, or a great boss doesn't mean they're going to have a long-standing team, because team needs vary
They
and they
vary.
change.
So
And the
okay.
culture is key here.
And I think part of it is adjusting our expectation, because I
Sure.
think what I hear you saying is years ago, team would stay 30 years for the whole entire time. And that is rare. And to look for uh, that, what do we call that? Unicorn is probably going to be a fool's errand. You may get one or two, but I think that it's just recognizing the state of economics and culture, and generation. Look, years ago, you can open up a practice and patients would come,
Right.
but uh, that's not the case anymore. You got to market and run a business. So with this situation, um, I think what that kind of demonstrates. Let me add this though. So what happens is, we have to have people that stay forever or for a while, and so we'll only invest in those, and we'll keep looking. And we're just talking about Uncle Jay. What is it? What if we don't train them, what if we train them and they leave? Okay. Because they're based what you're saying. But what if we don't train them and they stay? So I think with this myth, we have to say we want to continue to find good team members and always be hiring. Always keep listen. And that was we discussed as the mastermind group. What if you got somebody who was a great talent? You'd find a spot for them and maybe unwind other people who aren't, there. But being, what is the word? Flexible, that you can handle the ups and downs that go, and you're not caught, what is it, with your pants down? Like you're not prepared. And knowing
Right.
that's
Again,
part of
it
the
goes
game.
back to intention, right? It doesn't happen by accident, and you
Right.
have to create a great culture to attract the people that you want on your team.
Attract and maintain. And I think what I'm hearing you say is, look, we're not saying you don't want a team that lasts a while. Absolutely. That should be our goal. We want to pay them enough to stay. And it's not just money. In people and retaining employees, part of it's money, part of it's also they have some autonomy, they feel a part of your practice. It's not
They're
about you.
attached.
It's not
Right.
about you. It's about
Right.
them, and they're about the patient. And if they feel it's
Right.
their baby, where are they going to go?
Right.
Right. So you can stack a lot in your favor that lowers the chance of turnover, but it still can happen for many reasons. People have babies, they change their mind, they don't want to do it.
Right.
Happens, right? So now let me ask you this, Robyn. Would you say that the successful dentists and practices tend to have better retention than those that aren't in general?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you will, if you follow what you're teaching and you're training your team, you're taking them to events, which they love, they feel a part of what you're doing, coaching, all those wonderful things we provide, the 5 steps to an all-star practice. If you're doing those, you'll be improving in retention. You're saying that that will help, but still, dentists heed Robyn's word that they that you'll still get turnover even when you do everything right, and you're not wrong for it. There's nothing you
Correct.
necessarily did wrong. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up on it. Just keep working at it.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Okay.
So the second myth I mentioned was that you can train anybody to do the necessary tasks. And I do believe strongly in, hire for personality and attitude and train for skill. But the myth here to debunk is not everybody has the aptitude or the emotional intelligence or the fortitude to be willing to learn these new necessary tasks that maybe they haven't been taught in the past. And I'll give you a great example of this. Um, Dental assistant, 10 years experience, um, said that she had all of these skills and working for one doctor. So you think, wow, great tenure, right? 10 years with this doctor. He was retiring, so therefore she was looking for another position, restorative, general practice. She, had all this stuff. At her working interview, she could barely handle the water and air syringe, knew nothing about how to make a temp. It was a fully digital office. She was not used to all the new technology like scanning, intraoral cameras,
Hmm.
and things like that. And on paper, you would think, oh my gosh, this is a gem. This is somebody that really could help benefit our practice. However, when she got in there, she didn't know it. And they got into, the working interview, yes, it's one day, but as they were showing her the thing, she just said, "Look, you know what? I don't think this is right for me. I don't think I have the ability to, master all of this digital stuff. Like that's just not my thing. I'm just looking for a practice that I can go and do my job and sit chairside and chit chat with the patient, hand some instruments, do air water, and that's that." So so the idea that you can teach everyone the dental skills may is not always true. And that's a myth that we tell ourselves that, oh, if they're great at what they do and they're excited, I can teach them all the technical stuff. And some people just don't have that ability.
Right. It's the
And
adage,
it is a
hire.
disappointment when you encounter that. Can you teach the dentistry? Absolutely. And the people that have the ability, the emotional intelligence,
Can
the
do that.
aptitude to do it, yes, of course you can. But not everybody is going to be the right fit, no matter how bubbly they are or how committed they are to learning. Some people just don't have the ability, and that's
Okay,
okay.
so we're debunking some myths here. So this one is basically the adage, hire for attitude, train for skill. We hear that a lot, and we say it from time to time. And what
And I
you're
believe it.
saying, and what you're saying is yes, but not in all cases.
Correct.
And I like what. So this is like being realistic. Oh, Robyn, I was in my head were in the clouds, but so we can't have a practice where people last forever. They can last more than others, but not forever. We can hire for attitude, train for skill, but not always. So I think it's that's helpful guidance, and I think part of that is in the hiring process. That's why you're the director of the hiring service, where you hire for dental offices. Is it's like you said in a prior podcast about being clear on what you want, being clear on what are the skill sets that are required. Because I look at it like if um, we're going to build certain dental skills on top of someone in terms of what are their baseline. Do they have, and we have to lay out what that is. What are their attitude? What do they need? And one of them is a certain technical prowess. So Shelly, our COO, she's wonderful. She's near perfect. But one
She's
area which she
amazing.
chooses, she's amazing. She has one area, blind spot, she admits, and she doesn't, not interested in changing that, which is, I don't care about this darn technology, this computer. So she's always fighting with her computer, and she's smart enough, but she's not interested in changing that. Now, if we were to hire Shelly, no matter how brilliant she is and what an amazing attitude to be the IT person for the office, she wouldn't fit for that. Of the few things that she doesn't do well, she has no interest in it either. So we have to understand. I think what I hear you saying is yes, hire for attitude, train for skill, but let's unpack that cliche or that motto into reality. It's just like, you know what? We should have this is what we call it, reality check with Robyn Reis, RCRR. Okay. But with respect to that, is it's again being clear. Okay, if we're going to add, if this is a clinical position that requires a lot of detail, so even using DISC, which we don't recommend necessarily for hiring, you use Drake, which is a approved hiring personality profile, but we want to see, do they fit this position? So do they have the characteristics? So if somebody has to be detail and they have no C and they're all I and D, they may not be a good fit for that. So when we do hire for attitude, what is their potential in skill that they can receive? So I think you're saying, yeah, and okay, and sometimes, yeah, but if you didn't do it right. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And sometimes, no matter how much training and shadowing and follow up and check in that you offer somebody, sometimes they're just not going to get it, and it doesn't make sense to hold on to them, to try and fit them into that position if it just isn't a good fit. And you did steal my thunder about the profile assessments that can definitely help in uncovering, is this person going to be a good fit from a dental position, which the Drake P3 through Ben Erickson allows us to predict with about 75 to 80% accuracy of, is this person going to be a good fit for this position, this dental position. So that's one of the one things that we love using the Drake for, is it does help uncover things that you might not be able to know or ask about, because the person themselves might not know. So that's what the assessment really is helpful in. But the other thing too is, sometimes we really want it to work because we really like the person and we
Mm.
feel that they would be a great addition to our team. We just have to make sure that they do have the ability to learn the skills, and not allow ourselves to fall into the trap of accepting mediocre or the bare minimum, because like you said before, culture is part of it, but attracting people, retaining them, one of those things is, opportunities for growth, for learning, for advancing. And if they have peaked or met their ceiling already and there just isn't any more ability to move forward, the kindest thing we can do is let them find a position elsewhere.
That's one nice thing of having you here at All Star for us as well as for our clients is like realistic Robyn. We're like, oh, this is going to be great. And this is going to happen. And you're like, well, that isn't what I'm seeing in the hiring area. I mean, so it's wishful thinking, and you're not negative. You're just saying, here's the data. We're doing it day to day. And I'd love what you're saying. I just don't see it in the numbers. I'm just not seeing here with it. Like, we have to accept reality and work with reality, and we still can create a wonderful result. All right, tell me about the last myth.
Absolutely. So the last myth is that if we kind of set it and forget it, our expectations are never going to change. And that's, again, just a myth that, oh, if I tell them once, they'll understand it and get it, and I don't have to repeat myself.
Oy.
Like, that is the last thing that we know, just from a psychology standpoint, is repetition, repetition, repetition is the mother of skill, right? So we have to share with our team and know that this is going to evolve, or this is going to change over time, just like our systems that we write for our practices. Over time, they're not going to be as effective. So we have to go back and look at them at least annually. And that's what I would encourage teams to help debunk this myth, is make sure that you are still aligned with your vision, your values, your commitments of what you want as a owner doctor, of expectations for performance from team members. Because as you introduce new technology, as you learn new science, as you introduce new materials, expectations for this particular role may change. And if you have different tiers of, DA1, DA2, DA3, what does that look like? How can somebody grow into each one of those positions? And know that, yeah, we need to do a vision check once a year, and we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And sometimes things will change, and I hope they do. I hope they don't stay the same. I hope they evolve, and that you don't just set it and forget it and figure, once you tell somebody one thing, I expect you to be on time all the time, that they're always going to do that. They're going to need reminders. Is that still an expectation? Absolutely. But if maybe your hours are going to change, maybe as your practice grows, you back off your hours. So again, it's understanding that just because you said it once, it doesn't mean it's never going to change. And that's one thing you have always shared with our team, Alex, is things are, this is a moving target. We're always going to strive for excellence. There's no such thing as perfection, but know that we're going to change We're going to change things. And I hope we always are changing things. We have to embrace that. We can't just say, okay, this is what we're going to do once, and then we're never going to go back or change it ever again. So it is something that is part of our all-star culture, is that we embrace the change. And it's always for the betterment of the organization and the clients we serve.
It's beautiful. Well, let me ask you this. Tell me about, so we have these myths. We talked about hiring mistakes in a prior episode. Is the hiring service? Who is it good for? All right. And, what is it? Who does it help?
It really helps any dental practice that doesn't have the time, the energy, or the desire to enter into the hiring jungle. And
Right.
that's basically what it is. It is the Wild West jungle out there, and it's changing rapidly. Not always for the better, but we are seeing great trends across the country. There places that we're recruiting and we're having wonderful tons of applicants, and then there are places in the country that, man, we are struggling to just have somebody apply once. So our hiring service is really built around those practices that might enjoy the recruitment but just don't have the time, and they don't want to deal with the stress. We do everything from soup to nuts. We write the ad, we post it, we have multiple channels that we're always looking to get more exposure. We do it in a much more efficient way, because hiring is all we do all day, every day for our clients. We have the time to devote to spending scouring the resumes, scheduling the phone calls. It's okay if they ghost us, because we're on to the next one. It gives us an
And
opportunity
they're not
to
ghosting
do a little
you.
more research. So we utilize that downtime if somebody ghosts us, versus the practice that sometimes they have to stay late to meet with somebody after work, or they have to interrupt their day, or it takes them away from patient care. And it's just not the best use of their time. So I'm really proud of the fact that all of our hiring specialists have worked in the dental office before. So we understand the business of dentistry. We know what it takes to be, a high performing hygienist or a high performing dental assistant or front office person. Um, we've had the privilege of helping hire some spectacular team members for offices that just were burned out, stressed, couldn't find anybody to apply. And then they reached out to us, and we were able to revamp how they promoted themselves, able to get candidates in front of them quickly. They were super responsive. And they've come back when their team has continued to grow. They're like, "Hey, you did a great job for us the first time. Now we're expanding and we're looking for additional team members."
I have this model we talked about in the last session. When you evaluate whether to do it yourself, I gotta make this a good, this is
Right.
going to be email. Do it yourself or use a white glove service, hiring service. Are you good at hiring? Number one. Do you enjoy it? Number two. And if both those still are yeses, is it worth your time? Doctors are producing thousands of dollars an hour. Their practice is thousands of dollars an hour. Is it worth your time? And does it have a compound effect? Because every time you
Right.
stop and start something, you're shifting gears. Focus on dentistry. Let us do the
Yeah.
hiring, the coaching, help your practice management, help train your team, do events that are exciting, mastermind, all those wonderful things we do at All Star. Let me ask you this last question, Robyn. I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Why not just do it myself? I mean, I mentioned that. Obviously, I gave you those three prongs. And let's say I'm still want to do it myself. I said, why use you versus just posts of Indeed? I mean, you're using Indeed and other services. I'll just do it myself. Why?
We are. And great question. If you want less stress, if you want less hassle, and you want the best use of your time, of course you want to choose All Star Hiring Service, because our team has more efficient ways of getting your position out there. We do a multi-prong approach. Yes, Indeed is our number one resource, but we have many others. And we know a lot of the backdoor things on Indeed that a lot of practices don't because
You
we
know,
use them very often. We
uh-huh.
have great relationships and contacts at Indeed as well as other platforms. So I'd say efficiency, exposure. Again, putting the post out to the most effective job boards. We're not a huge fan of the gunshot approach where it's
Right.
hundreds of thousands of job boards. We are very strategic in that. And then we are able to write and craft job posts that are able to convert applicants into people that we can get in front of the practice. So of course you can do it yourself, and we've given you a lot of the ingredients to
The
do that.
framework. Yeah, we give you the framework of how
And
to do it.
again, it goes back to, is this really, I mean, the bottom line is this the best use of your
Your
time?
time.
And
It
there are
was
other
inter
services out there too, but a lot of them are don't have the dental practice experience like our hiring team
Oh, and
has.
they're going to make you, and they're going to get you on a contract first of all, and they're going to make you pay up
Right,
front.
they're gonna,
We're
yeah,
we're hourly. You can
right.
do it with us. You can let us do it, or you don't want to do it. Stop.
That's a
I
great
mean,
point. We do partner with a lot of
yeah,
practices that are concurrently looking, and they've
correct. We do it
had people
together.
walk in the door, right?
As I'm
And
talking
those
this out,
practices,
it's kind of like it, we work with you. If you want more of a coaching relationship, we'll coach you with it. We'll do it with you, or we'll do most like us do it for them. It's a white glove service. And it was interesting. We were at our mastermind, and I was just asking you. I'm like, do you contact this like out? Like there's a like I was so surprised that you do so many things outside the box. It's not just Indeed. It's like whatever. Sometimes it's hard to find a hygienist or assistant. You're contacting schools. You're doing things like figure out ways that are creative. So I thought that was really interesting that you're doing a lot of things that others don't do. Um, and so it's not like a one trick type situation. And
no,
just like look, it's like who would you rather hire for your wedding? Somebody that plays every instrument, and if you want a piano player, or one piano player only. Like this is all that you all do. And like you're gonna find the hidden code, the details, the quality. Listen, you can make your bed look like the Ritz Carlton, or you can go stay at the Ritz Carlton. There's a difference. There's a difference in quality. So
there
I
is a
just
difference. And I do want to mention that the practices that make it really easy for us are those that have a great community presence, that have, systems and an employee manual in place, that have really created a culture that people are attracted to. And when we partner with a practice, yeah, a lot of them will concurrently um, recruit with us. And
sure.
sometimes they have somebody just walk in the front door, hand them a resume, and they say, "Hey, thank you for that. And we're going to share it with our hiring team, and somebody's going to reach out to you." So they don't even feel obligated or pressured that they have to do the interview right there. I mean, we have a system and a process. And when some practices try to skip those steps, it doesn't always end well. So we try again to coach and encourage them so that they can at some point do it on their own because they feel confident and they enjoy it and they have the time to do it. But when you don't, and you brought up a good point too about the hourly, we can accomplish so much more in an uninterrupted hour than most dentists and office
Can do it
managers,
a day.
office managers can do themselves, because again, this is all we do all day every day.
Yeah, I love having these conversations with you because I don't want, we just talk and says, "Oh, sign up for the hiring service." And it's like, but I want to challenge you and have conversations to the podcast so people can listen, and I'm kind of speaking from their perspective, like where they're coming from and maybe some objections they may have. So like it takes time for people to feel safe. And like it's kind of fun because I love the flexibility. That's what we do here at All Star. Our goal, we started this whole thing because people were saying, I can't use your training service and I can't do coaching because I don't have a team. And I'm like, oh, and it was happening so much before COVID, before all this, before it was
Oh, yeah.
a crisis. It was easy back then. I said, "We'll hire for you," and that little side hustle became a very successful business. I think we're one of the top hiring services for dental offices in the country. I'm surprised there aren't more. I just don't think people want to do it, and we're really good at it. And you guys love it. You guys, your team is a strange.
Our team is
You guys are strange.
amazing.
You love this
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
I'll leave you all with this. It's nice to work. You know, we're big fans of coaching. We have dental coaching, we have hiring, we have all these things. It's so good to be around professionals. And I'll leave you with this. I have a personal trainer that also does my nutrition, and I love it. And I was thinking, oh, you know what? I'm just going to take a few sessions with her, and then I'll get what I need. I'm done because I'm like I would be the worst
I
dentist.
could look up a recipe,
No, no, I would be
right?
the worst. I would just like tell me what it is. I'll do it myself. Because listen, I know we all coming from. I'm the worst, and I started working with her. I'm like, she's good. And then like we went from once a week to twice. I'm working 4 times a week with her, and I'm loving it. And I'm getting the coaching, and I'm like, this is good. And so and then one day it won't be where I now become I know everything. I don't need it anymore. But it's nice to surround yourself. Maybe you end up using people, coaching and things for a long time, and maybe you get what you need. But just continue to be around those that have figured it out. Put aside hiring. I'm just saying in general, precept, be around people that know what they're doing. Either dabble in their service, learn about what they're doing, have them around. But I'll tell you this, the best of the best. That's why we just came from Mastermind. So we're all like, and Disney, we're all like high on all the great ideas. But the best of the best, they do it all. They don't dabble. They have a coach. They don't BS because all they want to do is they want to do quality dentistry, take care of their team, and have a balanced life. They don't want to add more frustration, more
Love
work, and
that.
become
Yeah.
masters at other things. They don't want to be master at hiring. They don't want to be a master at practice management. They want to be good at it, but they want people around them to guide them. A great CEO has a great team. All Star is great, not because of me. It's because of two things. It's because of a great team and messaging. I put that in one, and even more important, great dentists that resonate with what we're talking about. It is all of you that are what make us who we are, which is you. Ooh, okay. So, Robyn, thank you
Love
again.
it.
We had a little extended chat here. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions about hiring or whatever, just reach out, and we're happy to give you resources. If you're like, look, I'm not ready to do stuff with you, but I do want some more resource information. We give it away. Our philosophy is let's just give it away because do it. Let me just share as much as I can. Our website, our podcast. If you need more information of topics, we put it out there. Ebooks. Oh, so much good stuff. We just want to help. As dentistry gets stronger, we all get stronger. Thank you, Robyn Reis, Director of Hiring Service at Also Dental
Thanks,
Academy.
Alex.
Yes, and remember to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, share with your friends, follow, subscribe, and all those fun things. And until next time, go out there and be an all-star.
An all-star.